Right now, at this very moment, your brain is receiving millions of signals every second. Light entering your eyes as you watch me. Sound entering your ears as you hear me. Smell entering your nose, temperature touching your skin. Don't worry, it's still probably your AC. There's no one around you yet. Yet somehow, out of this flood of signals, your mind constructs something called as my reality. But here is the mystery. If everyone is having the same world, why do people experience completely different realities? Why does one person feel inspired by something while another person feels bored or offended? To answer that question, we need to understand something ancient Indian philosophies described thousands of years ago, the concept of 10 Indriyas. Before we go deeper into 10 Indriyas, let's quickly reconnect with where we left off. In the previous episode, we explored the three bodies and the five koshas. We saw that the human existence operates through multiple layers. At the deepest layer, the soul, pure awareness. Around it exists causal body, which stores karmic impressions. Then comes the subtle body, where thoughts, emotions, and energy operate. And finally, the physical body, which interacts with the material world. So, if the world is outside and consciousness is inside, how does the information travel between the two? How do we capture reality, process it, and respond to it? This is where something fascinating appears, the input output architecture of the human consciousness, the 10 Indriyas. Before we actually see our senses, let's see what nonsense happened at the bar that Friday night. That night, Kevin Kumar Qureshi was at the bar with his two legendary friends, Abdul Singh and Manpreet Rodrigues. Three friends, one table, and the unusual life decision that begins with the sentence, "Bro, relax, nothing will happen." But karma is everywhere. Kevin's phone suddenly started to vibrate again after that unanswered call. He looked at the screen. It was a message from his beautiful wife. "Where are you?" His eyes read the message, his ears heard Abdul laughing, but his innocent nose smelled fried peanuts and his favorite whiskey. So he began calculating multiple survival strategies that night. But somewhere deep inside, his soul whispered to him, "Kevin, today your karma will mature." But Kevin ignored the whisper, like most of us do in overconfidence. And then we see how the most romantic wife, your wife, not your friend's wife, turned into a devil. To see what actually happened, we must first explore the very science of 10 Indriyas. So the word Indriya means power or faculty. These are the 10 channels through which consciousness interacts with the world. 5 channel brings the information in, 5 channels sends actions out. Think of them like ports in a computer system. Just like your laptop has camera inputs, keyboard input, USB output, the human system also has biological ports. And the manager of all these ports is the mind. But before we reach the mind, let's first understand the 5 input channels. The Jnana Indriyas are the sensory organs. These are the input channels of consciousness. The first one is Chakshu, your eye. The function is obviously to see. The element associated with the eye is fire. So your innocent eyes detect light and form. This poor Kevin's eyes were still staring at the phone screen, which was still showing the message, "Where are you?" The next is Strotra, your ears. The function is to hear. And the element associated with your ears is ether or space. Your ears detect sound vibrations. Kevin could hear Abdul laughing loudly. Abdul said, "Bro, reply quickly, wives have radars." The next is Krana, your nose. The function is to smell and the element associated is earth. So our smell is deeply connected to our memories. That night in the bar, Kevin smelled fried chicken and alcohol, which told his brain something very important. Brother, you're definitely not at the gym. The fourth is Rasana, your tongue. Function, taste, element is water. Taste tells the body what it is actually consuming. Kevin had already tasted 3 different kinds of snacks and a full bottle of whiskey, which explains why his decision-making ability was slowly leaving the building. The fifth one is Twak, your skin. The function is to touch, The element associated is air. Your skin detects temperature and pressure. Kevin that night felt cold whiskey glass in his hand and also the sudden drop in his body temperature when he read the next message from his wife. Send me your location. Now something very interesting begins here. The philosophy calls this process as Indriyatha Shanishkarsha, the contact between sense organs and sense object. But the process doesn't stop at sensing, because once the data enters the system, it travels through a processing chain. Let's see that chain in detail. So your eyes see the message, ears hear the bar noise, skin feels the environment. The world has now entered Kevin's nervous system. All the sensory data is then sent to Manas, the mind. But here's the critical point. The mind does not receive pure reality ever. It receives reality mixed with past impressions. So Manas then filters the perceptions through samskaras and vasanas, the stored samskaras and your vasanas. For example here, Kevin sees the message from his wife, but Abdul sees something else. Abdul sees Kevin's face turning pale. Now jumps in the buddhi, your intellect. It analyzes the whole situations. Kevin's buddhi says reply honestly, but another voice appears. Kevin's survival instinct. Say you are at the gym or at the office. Then comes the ahamkara to tag it. The ego arrives. The ahamkara says, I am a responsible husband. This is the moment where self-image begins negotiating with the reality. So whatever Kevin chooses next, a new samskara will be created, an impression. And if repeated often enough, it becomes a vasana, a behavioral tendency. This is how personalities form, through repeated perceptions and reactions, but the perception alone does not create karma. Karma appears when the action enters the world, which means we must now explore the 5 output channels, the 5 Karma Indriya, the action Indriyas. Every action in this world happens through 5 Karma Indriyas. These are the output ports of the consciousness. The first one is Vak, your speech. It is associated with Vishuddhi Chakra. Speech converts thoughts into sound. Kevin finally replied to his wife. He typed at the gym, unfortunately. But do you remember what had Abdul done? Abdul had just posted an Instagram story which clearly showed Kevin Kumar Qureshi, the innocent husband, at the Royal Bar and Restaurant. 2 minutes of silence for those husbands who have already faced this situation at least once in your life. This is why ancient sages recommended truthfulness. You see, technology has become very supportive of dharma nowadays. So the next Karma Indriya is Pani or hand. The function is to grasp, create or build something. Hands converts thoughts into physical reality. Do you understand the depth of this? Hands converts thoughts into physical reality. Kevin used his hand to quickly grab Abdul's phone and whisper, "Bro, call my wife and say I'm with you." Abdul looked at him and said, "Kevin, I'm with you." Kevin soon realized the logical flaw in his strategy. Abdul was already 6 pegs down. The next is Pada, your feet. The function is movement. Where your feet go determines your life experiences. If Kevin had gone to the gym earlier this evening, this conversation wouldn't exist. But Kevin's feet had a long-standing relationship with the bar. The fourth is Payu, the elimination organ. The body releases what it cannot digest. Emotionally, the same rule applies. Some people release stress easily, others store it for years. Kevin was currently storing a lot of stress. And the last one is Upastha, the genitals. The function is reproduction and sexual expressions. This is the organ through which new beings enter existence. In Vedantic philosophy, this is considered one of the most powerful karmic actions because creating life introduces another player into this karmic system. No, now don't wait for me to add how did Kevin's genital acted inside the bar or outside. Unfortunately, that part was censored by Kevin to be publicly discussed. Now let's see the output chain. The action process works like this. Desire appears in Manas. Buddhi evaluates the action. Command is sent to the Karma Indriyas. Prana energizes the body action happens and the world responds. A new karma is created. Kevin had successfully completed this entire chain and the response from the universe arrived instantly. Instant karma. His phone rang. It was his wife. Abdul looked at Kevin and said, "Bro, pick up the call." Kevin whispered, "Just pray for me, brother. If I survive this tonight, the drinks will be completely on me." This is the beauty of karma. All input indriyas send data to the mind. All output indriyas receives command from the mind. The mind is the central router. Vedanta call is Ubhaya Indriya, the dual organ, because it works as a both input and output, but the mind itself has layers. Manas, the oscillating mind, constantly compares options. Should I tell the truth? Should I lie? Kevin's mind was conducting a full internal debate right now. Then comes the buddhi. The buddhi, the intellect, is the decision maker. Unfortunately, buddhi works when the bloodstream contains less alcohol. Next comes ahamkara, the ego, the sense of I. It creates identity. I am responsible, I am honest, and I am definitely not at the bar. And the reality sometimes disagrees. So there's one more big problem. Most people believe they make conscious choices, but most actions are actually automatic patterns. Vasana triggers behavior the mind processes automatically. The ego claims the credit unless our awareness interrupts the process. So there's something called as chit. Chit is where the karmas get stored. Chit is the storage layer of the mind. Every experience becomes a samskara here. Every samskara is archived. Nothing is lost. Later, when a similar situation appears, the stored samskara activates automatically. This creates a vasana, a behavioral program. So if you see in reality, most of our reactions are not decisions. They are executions of old programs. But our awareness can interrupt this whole chain. The chain is a stimulus arrives, it creates a feeling. The feeling creates a thought. The thought creates an impulse, and impulse leads to action. Interrupt it at any step and a new karmic path appears. So later that night, finally Kevin answered his phone. His wife said calmly, "Don't worry, I am not angry." So guys, remember this golden rule. Whenever a wife says this sentence, even if it is not your wife, you should become extremely worried. Because eventually this guy Manpreet, who was also married, and Kevin's wives and Manpreet's wives were best friends. And this Manpreet, what he did you know? He kept his phone off all the time since evening. He still doesn't know what will happen when he turns on his phone. Because what happened next taught Kevin something very profound, how karma actually works. And that is exactly what we will explore in the next episode. How does karma actually work? So to all the men watching this, pray for Kevin till we shoot the very next episode. Let's see you soon. Jai Bhairav Baba, Jai Bholenath. Om Namah Parvati Pate, Har Har Mahadev.